Swankie, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. I just adore you so much. And after watching Nomadland, I just wanted to reach through the screen and give you a big hug.
Wow, thank you.
The
I've
kind
never even heard my kids say that.
Now, this film is based on Jessica Bruder's novel, and I know that she spent about 3 years on and off traveling around in a van, spending a great deal of time with you. Did you notice some sort of shift happening by you opening up your life to her, or did that come later?
I don't think I felt it then. I felt like, I don't know exactly what I felt then. She was camped with me for 3 weeks right out here, not far from where I am right now. Because she wanted the security of having somebody around that she knew. She'd actually met my son in the past. She wrote the book, The Burning Book on Burning Man, and
Mhm.
he's a burner. And she had met him at Burning Man. And then
Wow.
later she met me. I don't know how that happened, but so she was interviewing me for her book and camped with me, and we were sharing meals, and we gave a little friend's son was having his 10th birthday or something. We gave him a birthday party. We were just camped together as friends. And so I didn't feel much of a shift then. But then she sent me the book after she published it, and I was pretty shocked that so much of my story was in it. I think the shift came from me for me when I was working on the set here,
Mhm.
which is not very far from where I am right now too, with the production crew, and how attentive everybody in the production crew was. You know, they were filming one scene and I had indigestion. I kept burping. And I said, God, I need some Rolaids. And they all had mics in their ears, you know, and little microphones and earplugs and stuff. And it wasn't 2 minutes later, somebody handed me a roll of Tums, you know, and it's like, it just appeared. If you say I'm thirsty, all of a sudden a bottle of water appears. It's like magic. And it's instant. You don't have to wait. You don't have to beg. You don't have to go hunt for something. The crew is there all the time and to meet everybody's needs, not just Francis and David, but everybody. They were concerned about all of us. I don't know. I don't. I suppose you should have that growing up, but I never sensed it growing up. I always felt like something was missing in my life, and I didn't get the kind of attention or didn't get my needs met until I met that production crew and Francis and Chloe, and they were really filled in those needs for me more than anybody had in my life. So they are my chosen family now.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I'm not sure if you've ever acted before off screen, but did you sense any sort of change within you by plugging into acting? Did it open you up to anything that you hadn't recognized about yourself before?
Well, that kind of thing, as far as acting was concerned, happened a long time ago because I worked as a first person interpreter in a living history museum.
Hmm.
And we had a role to play. They'd give us a character, you know, a name and the date and the time and the place of this person was supposed to live. And then you needed to understand that lifestyle of that time period and project that. And I would find myself saying things to the public that I hadn't read or researched that just came from somewhere and came out. And I'd go back later and check the facts and they would be true. So that surprised me because I didn't know that stuff was in there. And I wasn't trying to make anything up. It just came magically from somewhere. So but I didn't have that kind of experience in Nomadland because Nomadland was just my story, except for the
Right.
part where I was dead and dying because I'm not dead. I'm not dying.
Thankfully not. We're all glad that you're here. What was the onboarding process like? Did you have to familiarize yourself with Chloé Zhao's work, or was it more about just bringing yourself entirely and nothing else really mattered?
Okay, I never saw her other movies. I never saw her movies before. I just when I met her at Linda May's and she asked me to be in the movie and I told her about my shoulder and all that, it was my first exposure to her. And I didn't say yes the first day. And then we went out to dinner that night and then she started working on me again the next day. And so that's all I knew about her was her intensity. She had her mind made up. She was recruiting me and I was going to say yes, you know. And so then when we actually got on set and she started filming me, she gave me two 2 pieces of paper that kind of had an outline on there, what I was supposed to say. And then she'd say, okay, roll. And she'd start shooting. And I'm trying to remember what I'm supposed to say. So I'm down here, and all of a sudden she snatches the papers away from me. She says, just talk. I just said, I wouldn't say it that way. And she said, well, just say it however you would say it, because English is not her first language. So how she would express something is not how I would express something. She said, just say it how you would say it. And then I began to get more comfortable with her because I realized she just wanted me to be me. Mm-hmm. And that developed the trust. The trust grew after that. And I began to get more comfortable, and then I could understand where she was going. Not with the whole movie. I didn't get it with the whole movie. I just understood where she wanted me to go. Yeah. And then I would just try to internalize that and make it come back out so it made sense. But I never got the overall scheme of where she was going with the movie, how that was going, where she was going down the road, until after I saw it. And I went, oh, that's how she did that. Yeah. And I'm still beginning to understand it more every time I see it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She ties everything into the next thing.
I know that Chloé has mentioned in other interviews that she based a lot of, or Fern's character, the character that Frances McDormand plays, was greatly informed by you. Did you, when you were watching the film, did you pick up on anything that you felt like oh, that's me? Maybe they observed that about myself and put that in there? Did you notice those touches that you may have brought to the film?
The first time I watched it all the way straight through, I got that. I said, I don't get what the fuss is about this movie, but I really did relate to Fern. And I forgot whether it was I think it was Molly said, well, that makes sense because her character was developed a lot on you. And I went, oh, that's why I related to her story, because that was my first only reaction that I had the first time I saw it, was that I related to Fern's story. I've always, I guess, for so many years, I was an unpaid housewife, mother, grandmother, and you don't build any Social Security equity doing that. And then all of a sudden you get old and you realize, well, how much Social Security, you don't have a pension because you've never been employed by anybody. Mm-hmm. And so you look at your Social Security and go, well, how am I going to live off that? I couldn't afford a decent apartment. I'm not talking about an expensive apartment, just a clean, decent apartment on my Social Security. And so then, you still have to eat and live and survive. And I thought, well, heck, I bought a van to go camping. I'll just go camping. Mm-hmm. That doesn't cost anything. You still have to eat, whether you're in an apartment you can't afford or you're in a camper that you can't afford. So I went camping.
Now I have to bring up probably my favorite scene in the film, and it's when Fern is watching footage that came from your character, and it's you doing what you said that you always wanted to do, go to the certain place, and you just see all these beautiful swallows just flying around everywhere, and you're on the water, and it's just like, it feels like poetry, which is why I often say, like, I like to connect to the poetry in everyday life and being in nature, because where else can you just get these quiet moments like that are very that's like spiritually awakening. And I can only imagine the things that you've seen in your life, but can you recall like some of those the greatest moments in your life that are comparable to that?
The swallows, that's my footage from my video camera that I took in my kayak by myself. Nobody else was with me. And I was following this it was on a reservoir actually in Colorado. And I went upstream this little inlet and around this cliff, it came around the cliff, and there were all those birds flying all over the place. And they were over me. They were in the water. They were reflected in the water. And it was like I was flying with the birds. And I really did. I just thought, that's it. I'm done, God. I can die now, and it was raining little eggshells all these nests were overhanging. I was actually under the nest. They were overhanging my kayak, and it was raining little eggshells from the baby birds that were falling out or hatching out. And they were falling down on my kayak. And I went, wow, is this something? Okay, I've done enough. I'm done. And that was just me. And that's what I thought coming around that bend. I'm by myself. There's nobody with me, nobody to talk to. And I just sat there and thought, okay, God, I'm done. That's enough. And so they asked to use my footage, and they did.
That's beautiful. Sadly, we're wrapping up here, but I wanted to get your perspective on a question that I asked Bob Wells and Jessica Bruder recently. And it's that even though I've seen Nomadland, what's something that I will never fully understand about the nomadic lifestyle unless I've lived it myself?
I think it's a feeling of freedom and peace. You can't know it ahead of time. You can't anticipate it. You know, you can say the words, but you can't feel it and internalize it until you live it. And it takes more than a couple months. It even takes more than a couple of years to get that. And it's like, there's nobody out here near me. I can't hear anybody. You know, I mean, if I go outside, I can see campers off there and everything, but it's just me and nature and the wind, lots of wind, chipmunks, ground squirrels, woodpeckers, hummingbirds, trees, flowers, and no humans, none of the messiness of civilization. It's just pure, and it just feels enough. I don't know. I can't put that into words really. And you can't know it ahead of time.
One of the things I love most about this life is that there's no final goodbye. I've met hundreds of people out here, and I don't ever say a final goodbye. Let's just say I'll see you down the road. And I do. I see them again. And I can be certain in my heart, I'll see you again.